Hello, everybody. My name is Janine. I met some of you at the last Regenerative Ag Conference, but it's good to see everybody and thanks for putting on the next event in Sacramento. We're looking forward to it. I'm with Sonoma County Meat Company, and any way that we can be involved, we're eager to be part of the solution.
Excellent.
Nate,
Welcome.
good to see you.
Good to see you too, Michael.
Thanks. Yeah, let's wait another minute or two, let people jump on. Gillis, happy to see you aboard. I don't know if you remember me, but we had some interactions back in Davis when you were there. The commission.
Patrick, I think you're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I heard most of that. Yeah, it's nice to see you, Patrick. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with Siskiyou Economic Development Council. I'm director of the ag programming up here. I'm actually in Sacramento right now, so I say up here, but yeah, I also have a small diverse livestock ranch. So I have two hats in the game, but I'm glad to come on board and see what you guys have got going on and see how we can help.
Great. Well, I guess we should jump in. I guess the main thing on the agenda tonight is just to talk about the event that's coming up in a little less than a month now, and just get everyone kind of on board with what's going on there. And Michael is going to make a pitch to try to get as many of you to show up as we can get, because we really want to get some, a good number of producers to show up to the event. Anything else on the agenda, Michael?
If people have questions or things they want to bring up, we can definitely engage all that.
Sure.
I think, Patrick, do you want to talk about, we had a very great call this morning with Marilyn Biscotti, who's negotiating the contract, and she had a couple of really good things to say. Do you want to share what we heard?
Yeah, so UCOP, the University of California procurement folks are in the process right now of finalizing contracts to get Northern California regenerative meat to the 10 campuses and 5 hospitals, I think it is. And so they're pushing forward on that. A lot of it will run through Creamco, but that's not going to be the sole pipeline for getting meat into the system. And so what we're trying to do right now is make sure that there's going to actually be enough supply to get into the full UC system, which is a huge amount of food. It's 600,000 meals a day or something like that across the system. Obviously not all meat, not all beef, but there's going to be a substantial amount that is being sourced. And so we want to make sure that anyone that is interested in getting involved with production on the regenerative side is able to hook up with UC and know that there is going to be a steady market there. Anything else, Michael?
Well, I just want to underline what she said about the fact that they're going to need other processors in the mix. Janine, I think that's, you want to hear that. And we actually drilled into that today. They made it clear to Creamco that they're not going to be the only one, that they're going to source from other folks. And so there's going to be room for a lot more people to get in. Like it's been said, it's going to be a large demand that's probably going to build over the next few years. Probably 2 to 3 years till they get to the amount. We need a lot of production. And obviously that means there's going to need to be a lot of processing and then a lot of distribution. So those are the challenges that need to be worked out, but they made the commitment and they're writing the contract. So and they're the really good thing is they're being very smart about the contract so that they're going to actually set it up. So the contracts are really about buying from individual ranches and institutions. So that's a really smart move. They're not going to contract per se with Creamco at this point, because they're the first one. They've been supplying a few of the campuses already. So they're actually drilling through on the contracts to individual ranches and meat producers. So that's a really good thing. You know, this whole meeting that is going to be happening on the 18th is about making the case for ranchers to figure out how to carve out, if they want to be in the commodity market, that's great, but carve out some animals to be part of this. And then over time, hopefully, people will find that it is a profitable and good deal for them, and they will continue to, you know, increase the volume that would go into that channel. So I think we have a really good schedule of people. We're going to have, you know, like we have in the past, a few different sessions. And those sessions are all going to, before I go on, Sam, you have a question, go ahead.
Hey, Mike, have you, hey, I'm Sam from Sweetwater. We do the California Berkshire pork. Hey, have you heard of the Sierra Source program at all?
No.
So that's an initiative between Mariposa, Yuma, basically all the central Sierra Mountain counties. And a big part of that is Eastern Sierra beef from up there. And I think they'd be pretty interested in that, as well as our scaling of production for next year. I think we could supply a lot of pork for that through Allen Brothers or a different distributor if they wanted to carry our stuff too. Assuming we don't go for exclusivity. But is there any way you guys could get me over some contact info for you guys, and then I can get it to the guys from Sierra Sourced and maybe work something out for some beef stuff?
So Doris will write you and send our emails, because we want to invite them. Anyone that you think, that's really what I'm hoping. Thank you, Sam. You picked right up on it. We need to get a lot of people there, because to make this, UC is kind of risking. They're going for it. They've made the commitment. Now we got to frickin' find the supply. So,
yeah, well, I'd love to help with that if I can. So, and I've got a pretty big network through the Central Sierra of different stuff. So,
Fantastic.
Yeah, Sam, I will email you, and I also put the Resi link in the chat, but I will also email it to you.
Thank you, Doris.
That's the Resi link for people to sign up to come. And so anyway, we have I think a really interesting schedule. We're going to talk about the top of the morning is really about the UC, the developments with the UC. They're going to talk about what's going on, explain what's happening, explain the vision of how diverse and wide they want this thing to be. Then we're going to talk about other emerging markets, and there are other emerging markets, and I think it'll be interesting to hear about that. And then we're going to hear from some folks who are in the business, that is people who either are ranching or represent production of meat, who are going to talk about, okay, yeah, this is all good. What else do we need to get done? What else needs to happen? And I think that'll be interesting. Then we're going to have a tasting. We're going to do a goat. We're going to have, first of all, a really good lunch, as always, from meat that we're purchasing through the producers who have been part of this. Then we're going to have a tasting of goat, a goat kind of tasting event, like similar, not the same as what we did at the last one, where we kind of tasted two different types of frozen and previously frozen and then fresh. But we're going to taste some goat and have a reception, and then we're going to have a really nice dinner. And this dinner, again, will be open to the public. We've invited a lot of interesting speakers to come. We're still waiting to hear from people, including the Secretary of Agriculture for the United States, and the governor, and other people who have been following what we're doing and are very interested. I did see Michael Drake, the president of the University of California, on Saturday at this event in DC, and asked him to come because you know, they've made this tremendous commitment and are throwing their resources in and actually putting their money where their mouth has been for the last several years. So, you know, we want to show up to support the institutions and for the institutions to see that their risk is worth taking. So that's my pitch. I'm really hoping people will come because it's a lot of work to put it on, and we've done a lot over the last 3 years, and we want to celebrate that. We're also waiting to hear we're also going to hear, actually, I should say this. The GRASS Project's going to come and talk about what they're doing. There's some opportunities there for funding for ranches. We're going to hear from other folks who have opportunities. So, you know, there's a lot more that's out there over the next few years because of all that USDA money. So I think there's things that people will want to hear about. But then we want to celebrate the good work that's been done. And then hopefully we're going to hear in the next few weeks from USDA about the extension of this project for 3 more years to reach down to Southern California, which will allow us to keep supporting Northern California as well. So yeah, a lot of good things happening. Questions, thoughts from colleagues on our team? Anybody want to say anything?
Hey, Mike, one more question. What day was that on again? I know that we talked about it a little bit, possibly with pork, but it didn't work out. But what day was that?
That's Monday,
dinner.
November 18th.
Okay.
Monday, November 18th. Mulvaney's, where the first one was, in Sacramento.
All right. I won't be able to make it, but I'll see if I can have my ranch foreman go. I'm to be in Georgia,
Oh,
but
bummer.
thank you.
Sorry to miss you. Yeah.
Hi, this is Pelayo. Well, I'm assuming there'll be some kind of announcement or press release from UC, kind of inviting ranchers to get in touch, or is there an outreach strategy behind this, or what?
We just actually had a conversation a little bit about the media strategy for the particular event. And I think they're looking to us to do the outreach to ranchers. And Pelayo, we're happy to talk to you about more about that. There will be some sort of announcement about the program on the 18th. We don't know what that's going to look like.
Okay.
But you know, there's something will come out, and then I don't think they have the capacity to kind of reach out to all the ranchers in California. Marilyn Biscotti specifically said to our team today that they look to us to do that.
And I just started the conversation with UC Davis communications people today. And so I don't have a clear idea yet of exactly what they have the capacity to do. But I'm guessing they don't have the capacity really to get out to the ranching community. That's on us and our various partner lists.
So in the meantime, is there a contact person that we should direct our ranchers to, or?
Yeah, to us, and then we'll connect them.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll connect them
Perfect.
to Maryland. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
And Janine, have you had contact yet?
Yeah, I was just about to raise my hand and ask some questions here. So first of all, that's really exciting. And thank you guys for all the hard work that you're doing to try to make this happen. I can only imagine how many emails and meetings and phone calls and everything it's taken to get to this point. So thank you very, very much. It means a lot to an industry that's difficult to be in to begin with, and to have that kind of support from a local institution as big as the UC system is a huge achievement. Oh, we don't want to mess it up, and I want to I want to be there to see how we can meet that demand. So I do have some questions because I have sent I don't know how many emails to Marilyn Biscotti and haven't heard back. We had after the last meeting in Marin had gone through and kind of been as persistent as we could with the UC Davis team and really hit a stone wall. Like, we are not interested. Like, I think someone had given us a kind of like a new vendor application. We had gone down the road, and then they were like, why are you giving us a new vendor application? We're not receiving contracts right now. Stop. We were like, okay, we're moving in the wrong direction. So I guess what I'm really curious about is when you say that they're like they've committed to this, they're writing the contracts, like, what is the timeline for when that will be open so that when we are engaging with them or when we're working with specific ranchers to engage with them, we make sure we have enough time to disseminate that information, to get the right ranchers involved so that they can get the information lined up? And when is that going to be, or do you know, or are we going to be finding more out on the 18th, I imagine?
Yeah, I think more details on the 18th. I can tell you that when you hit that roadblock in the past, it's because the university as a whole system hadn't made the decision. You were dealing with one campus, UC Davis.
Yeah.
UC Davis had a contract. That contract was with one institution, which was which is Creamco. So
Yeah.
that's what you hit in the past. So that's Marilyn was brought in to get beyond that. That's why she was brought in. That's her thing. She hasn't been in touch with you probably because she was dealing with the higher ups about how to structure this thing so that she could touch all the campuses and med systems. It's a huge bureaucratic hassle. And that's what she's been unwinding. And so that's probably why you haven't heard from her. We've had trouble getting in touch with people at UC as well, because frankly, they're buried in the minutia of what
I don't want to bug them, right?
Yeah, so don't worry about it. And I'll tell you, we can, what's the word? Be your eyes and ears into that. If we don't get everything we need on the 18th, believe me, we will be following up because we want something to happen, and we're not gonna just drop this opportunity, willy-nilly. We're gonna see it through. So you can count on, and believe me, I live 3 blocks from your store, so you can come over and beat on me if you're not hearing anything. So
I won't beat on you, but I'm glad you're a neighbor, and I appreciate that. I think that's my main question. And again, it's not an urgent question. I imagine answers will be forthcoming, but I don't want to bug them. That's the main.
but I
Yeah,
also
as long as we can wait till the 18th, I'm sure that we will know that they will let us know then. And if they don't let us know, then if you're in the audience, then ask the question, and so that we can get the actual answer straight from Marilyn on the 18th.
Yeah,
Sounds
and it'll
good.
be really good for you to be face to face with her there. I think that'll be helpful too.
Will be. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Quick question. Do
Yeah.
we know how many people we're planning on for the appetizer round and dinner? Just off the top.
Well, we're hoping for like 120. That's
Right.
very optimistic at this point. I mean,
Right.
We did that last time. The last 2 events we've been 100 to 120. So, I'm hoping it'll be very similar this next time. But I know that it's a busy time of year. The holidays will be just coming up for Thanksgiving. So, who knows? But I'm hoping we're going to be close to that.
All right.
Yeah. So, Courtney, you got anything you want to say?
Well, I didn't know about your meeting with Marilyn yesterday, so that's super exciting. Yeah.
Morning.
And what's running through my mind is that this is a great time for us to kind of go back to even where we have a really great group that's come along with us the whole time through this whole process. But when that gets rolled out, we'll go back to where we started to kind of some of our bigger outreach partners to see if we can hit the producers that haven't been part of this process so far, and a bunch more of the processors too, because the 2 or 3 that are participating is fabulous. Not 2 or 3, but the group that's participating is fantastic. But 600,000 meals a day is a lot, and so we'll need to grow that whole pool. So that's what's going through my mind is just, here's our group now, and then the next piece is, broadening the table again.
Yeah, and luckily, the Jenny Lester Moffat, who is the USDA undersecretary in charge of our space, the kind of project that we're running right now, she's coming to the event. She's already confirmed, which is really good for her to see that, because that could help us make sure that this project can continue into Southern California, because it's really important that it continues so that we can ride this thing out. I mean, if we get 3 more years, a lot more can happen. A lot more. So, yeah. Anything else? Lockwood, you got connected you're working, you're supplying?
Yep,
For the-
we're all good. Thank you.
Great, great.
Hey, Michael, are you
Yes.
gonna meet with the folks that are gonna be on the various panels ahead of time?
Yes, we are. You're gonna hear from us, Kathy.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, you're gonna hear, yes, Janine.
So just one other quick question. I would love to be involved in any kind of panel and any time you think it would be appropriate regarding processors and sustainability and like the actual nuts and bolts of lowering emissions when it comes to meat processing. It doesn't seem like that's appropriate for this next meetup on the 18th, but I just want to put that out there. I know that we've spoken about it before, Michael, that I'm open for that. I'm open for doing tours at our processing facility. I'm open to meeting with groups of ranchers to talk about yield. I mean, whatever might be of need when it comes to the processing side of things and being available, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Good, and I have two thoughts based on what you said. Number one,
Yeah.
there is going to be a panel that's about the future. I mentioned what else is needed. I think you should, and that's an interactive. All the two speakers are just going to talk for a few minutes, and then it's a dialogue with the whole room. So I think you should stand up at that point and say, look, at the future of processing is this. This is what we need. This is what we're doing. This is what we believe is the future. I think that would be totally appropriate. The other thing that comes up for me is the possibility of doing a call with processors, like sharing, like, you know, I don't know if they're so competitive they don't want to talk to each other, but there might be a way to do that. And then certainly if we get Southern California going, then I think it would be great to have you participate in those meetings with the ranchers, talking about the things that you outlined, you know, carcass quality, yield, how it works.
Can I just add that, Janine, I love the work you guys do. I think it's really important that all the processors that come in that room act as collaboratively as possible, because, and I'm not saying you're not going to, but it's a time to really come together in order to meet the demand that they have. This is huge. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, it's going to be big. I am viscerally, like, in my stomach, nervous about how fast we can pull together enough meat to do all this, but that's the next big challenge. And so because we want to do it, we want to follow through. We don't want it to fall apart because we weren't able to get enough people to participate. And it's a tough time. Cattle prices are so high in the conventional market. A lot of people are just selling their cattle. So it's a really, and their other animals if the markets are strong. So it's a challenge. Yeah, we have some
The
other.
processing segment could be a potential bottleneck that we're facing, that we really need to shore up the processors that are in California right now, make sure that they stay in existence and that we can build out that processing capacity, because that's really where I see we could run into some problems moving into the future.
Mhm.
I think
So-
that's been universally the case recently, at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Mike, can I speak to all that briefly with about the processors?
Yeah, Sam.
And also kind of to tag on what the lady, forget her name, sorry, from SoCo said. As a producer, one of our biggest barriers is having a good processor. There's not enough of them that can do it at any kind of scale, right? That's why everyone always says the co-packer thing is such a big problem. And it is. And it's one of the big problems that we've had with just doing it, right, is we have incredibly high upfront costs as far as paying deposits and paying for the meat and doing all this. So that really hinders it. And I think a big problem there is a lack of processors, right? There's not really any competition between processors. So each processor can kind of set their rules to be whatever they want them to be. And again, there's not necessarily a problem with that, right? But it makes it really, really hard to scale up when you're small. Like, we're getting to a point now where we have access to financing tools that we didn't originally have, but it's getting over that hump that was impossible because we've got to have $38,000 in deposits, and we are going to amateurize that cost over 5 months, and we're trying to cash flow that. that could be pretty rough. The other thing is that if you ever want anyone to come and talk about how to introduce a product at a higher price point and how to sell that and actually make it work, so in a direct from the ranch kind of way, I'd be happy to talk with you guys about that. Because I mean, we've introduced pork at a price that people say is undoable, and we've seen a lot of success doing it. I mean, we're 2, 3, 4, 5 times more expensive than standard pork is. And it's, for us, it's about marketing, branding, consistency. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. And hopefully we can find a home with your guys' program. I think this UCC thing, not UCC thing, but University of California thing is a pretty big deal. And we hopefully can find a way to help support that for you guys with our pork.
Thank you. Good. Anybody else have a thought, question, concern?
I just want to say how cool this is, because this is a huge step for the UC systems to go from US foods buying meat that's not even in California to going and start buying from small, mid-sized farmers, ranchers, and processors is huge. So kudos to everyone involved in this.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. And I did have something else. I was curious of the, you know, as you get into the nitty gritty, how many of which kinds of meat they're looking for, and how, like, the ramp up, you know, what timeline, because I know some of the UC systems in contracting tend to move really slow, but always to be better because animals move slower. So it's, you know, what timeline is really realistic. But yeah,
I think that's the kind of question that's going to get clearer on the 18th. And in fact, we can provide her. We started today actually giving her some questions. We asked, you know, what is the buy? What's the total buy for the UC system? What's the total buy for the campus system and then the med system? They're different, right? They're two different systems. Five institutions and 10 institutions. They buy different things. The hospitals are looking for grass-fed. The campuses have a broader perspective, but they're looking for regenerative. So I think, you know, those that we can give her a set of questions in a couple of weeks that will allow her to prep. And so why don't we do this? If you have questions that you'd like specifically answered, we can propose that she answer those. Send an email to do you want to take them, Doris?
You can send them to me too. That'd be fine. This is Courtney.
Yeah. So whoever's email you have, the emails you receive, write back with any questions you have. Like, you might want to say, are you going to buy quail, Jenny? Are they going to buy quail? Are they going to buy, we know they're buying poultry. We know they're buying beef. We know they're buying lamb. What else are they going to buy? So that's the big question that someone should ask. And anything else that you have. Timing is a good one.
And how much of each one too, I think, would be my other question. You know, approximately how much grass-fed, how much regenerative, how much of the beef, how much of the pork, you know, and like you were saying with the grinds, I mean, even into that, you know, I do imagine that each department's going to be ordering different mix and match of things. So to match exactly what they want may also be tricky. That's all.
Yeah, one of the things that Maryland's doing up to this point, each campus and each med system had its own SKUs, products that they were defining. She's setting it up so that they all have the same SKUs. So she's going to come up with a mix of the SKUs that they all buy, and they will use those SKUs to identify the kinds of products, all the specs for those products, so that it's much easier to do this size of a contract. That was one of the roadblocks in the past. There was no way that anyone could figure out how to match up all the different SKUs from these different buyers. So now they're going to universalize it. And it's going to make it much easier for her to figure out the kinds of things so some people are losing things that they were buying before, certain size chunks, let's say for stew meat, certain packs for grinds. So she's getting all that universalized for the entire system. So I think it'll make it a lot easier.
And it may take them a little time before they can really answer those kinds of questions, but that's good that they're moving in that direction.
Yeah. Tom, you got anything for us?
Yeah, I do. Just exciting news on the front of CDFA farm to school grants. We were able to receive a farm to school grant, as well as on the North Coast here, a little over $3.7 million and $7 million on the North State. Really exciting stuff. Well, part of it, what's included for us is further processing USDA for patties. And we are kind of in the need to be really creative about how we're actually going to do that, since we don't have redwood meat here in our backyard anymore. But nonetheless, that's just my personal.
Sonoma County Meat Company right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'll pop my email into the chat and feel free to reach out to me. It's not something that we do right now, but we're in the process of phase 2 expansion for value added specifically. And that's one of the
Cool.
things that we're looking into.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be great. Have that conversation. I can put my info in the chat there for you. Thank you. Otherwise, on the
Congratulations.
processing, thank you. Yeah. On the processing side there for me, you know, we have an RFP put together from North Coast Growers Association. It's essentially going to be the building blocks that will fund support through documentation of customer and clientele and need-based from what we currently know was the previous need state and the new need state. So hopefully we get that funded here through our Headwaters funds, which is pretty exciting. And then just also a shout out, like kudos to David up at Star Harvest, that's doing his best with niche meats and all of his knowledge and applying the work there. It's served our community in the lack of having a local processor here.
Yeah, so they have that kill plant up and going now?
Yeah, it's great. I have transported 7 different producers over there, you know, in support of trying to keep all their operations going. And it's been a haul and a learning curve for sure, but it's good. We're glad to have it.
Good. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that.
That's what I got.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? Scott, you're on the line there. Haven't seen you in a while. How are you?
I think he's having trouble connecting to audio.
Oh, okay.
I don't see him connected.
Okay. Anybody else? Because we don't need to hold you. We've been talking a half hour and everyone's busy, got busy lives. Okay.
Okay.
Hope to see you.
Hope to see you on the
18th.
18th.
All right.
Don't forget to sign
Thank you
up.
so much.
Great
Thank
work.
you.
guys.
Thank you. See you then.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.